Before boarding a locomotive, inspect the broken or worn, looses, dragging parts, brake rigging, brake shoes, wheels, traction motor, communitary covers. Check for the leaks of the outside piping. Proper position of all drain cutout cocks. Check for the proper connection of the air hose, jumpers, and the cables in multiple units with other units. Check the following supply for the fuel tank sight glasses. After board of a locomotive, remove the rags, tools, etc. from the moving parts. Electrical equipment. Check the diesel engine, locomotive, oil spill. Oil level shall be indicated to full measure gauge where the engine shut down. The measure gauge dipstick is located on either side of the engine is marked low full. The check of the governor applies the sight glass on the governor should be in the full oil. The engine is started. The oil must be invisible. The oil must be visible between the marks on the sight glass. 4. The check air compressor lubrication oil of the Gardner Denver compressor. The proper level is indicated when the proper register is on the green portion on the scale. The oil level indicator. The lower red scale indicates the oil must be added. The upper red scale indicates the excessive oil. On the WABOC air compressor, maintaining oil supply to the run level. On the dipstick, check the cooling water supply. Be sure the water drain valve is closed. Check the fan gear until the unit level is open and the spill over the fill pipe. Check the lubrication of the oil of the generator gear. The dipstick is marked empty, add, and full. The proper level is between the add and full marks. Check the diesel engine overspeed device is reset. Check for the engine bearing over the device is removed from the engine. Check the following air cutout cocks of the open air compressor, governor control and safety control, bell horn, window, and wiper overspeed control. Check for the brake pipe angle cock and the cut-in vertical position. Brake valve pilot cutout cock, double heading cock. The 26L locomotive air brake system should be properly positioned in the multiple unit. 2A valve double cutout cock must be positioned according to the location of the unit of the locomotive. Consists and type of the brake equipment is lead if in brake equipment in the lead locomotive. Check the position automatically independent of the brake valves. The automatic brake valve handle should be removed on all trails. Independent of the handling should be released and is not a removable main engine control switch to start. Properly position the MU headlight selector switch, the multiple unit dragging braking selector switch. If furnace, check the throttle handle to idle the selector and the selector handle is off. Check the dead engine cock is closed. Starting the engine. Before operating the engine, as before boarding the locomotive and after boarding the locomotive, if any giant engine has been stopped a considerable period of time, the cylinder should be cleared of the fuel and water accumulation before the starting of the engine. Proceeds as follows. Applying engine conveyor over the device, back off the compression relief, the plugs of the left side of each cylinder, rotate the engine at least two complete revolutions, use the engine bearing over device. Remove the bearing over device from the engine, tightening all compression relief plugs before the cranking. Check the emergency stop feature to nullified throttle and idle. Check close the battery switch located beside the engine control panel of the operator's cab. Check the ground relay indicating the light is on. Cause of the ground fault must be removed before the proceeding. Close the following circuit breakers on the engine control circuit. When starting an engine, several locomotives in the multiple unit consist of the starting engines. A one-time control was the control switch circuit breaker only one unit. Push the fuel pump reset button and allow the fuel pump to run a few seconds until some of the fuel pressure shows in the engine control panel. Before starting the engine, when all engines are running and closed with the control circuit breaker and the lead unit only. The charging circuit and the fuel pump and the headlights and the running circuit. 6A6. The push engine start button on the engine control panel. Hold an engine to start. Note if the proper engine and lube oil pressure does not build at approximately 40 seconds, the governor shut off the fuel to prevent the engine from starting. Refer to the pressure, temperature, gases. Caution: do not discharge the battery excessively. Repeated attempts to discharge the battery excessively repeated attempts to start the first 2 or 3 times are unsuccessful. Recheck the starting procedure before moving. Before moving, take the engine control switch to run. Make sure the air brakes test and check the accordance with the railroad regulations. Check the main reserve air pressure to accordance with the railroad rules. Check the control air pressure. Normal pressure is at 70 psi. Make the independent air brake application. Release the handle and remove any blocking wheels all the time. Engine cooling water warm up moving before the locomotive in accordance with the railroad rules. Faster air pumping. They provide faster air pumping of the locomotive when the reserves have been drained. Air drain, or after the locomotive be coupled to a train proceeds as follows. Leave the generator field circuit breaker in the off position. 2. Close the control on the engine control. Close the control breaker on the engine control breaker. Leave the selector handle in the off position. Move the handle to the 4th or 5th notch as needed if the main reserve air pressure is above 130 pounds and not rising. Increasing the engine speed will not raise the pressure. Moving a train. The generator field circuit breaker is on the control stand. The KC-108 controller. Move the reverse handle to the desired direction of the movement. Operational control. Move the reverse handle in the desired direction of the movement and the selector handle the monitoring position. Place the foot on the safety control foot pedal if used. Release the brake completely. Several minutes may be required to release the brakes depending on the length of the train. Advancing the throttle hand. The throttle hand has the notches idle up to notch 8. Excessive such is representation, increasing the power of locomotive tractive effort. So starting at a train depends on type of length, width, weight, and grade and condition of the rail, amount of the slack of the train. This locomotive is designed to have easy control, tractive either effort, and the build-up characteristics with traffic effort. Effort is in each of the notch limited definition valve. The control throttle moved to the lowest and the highest notch. No alarm will be done. Moving the throttle beyond 9/4 notch 4 when starting the train. The engine can easily control the amount of the tractive effort required to start the accelerator particular train. Speed controlled as desired by the reducing or increasing of the throttle position. Stop the train. Most throttle of the idle apply for the air brakes according to the regular railroad regulations, leaving the operation after the train has been moved the reverse handle off. Reverse locomotive. Before locomotive is fully stopped, move the reverse handle to the opposite direction. Release the brakes. Advance the throttle. Passing through the water. Do not exceed 2 to 3 miles per hour. And is water over the rails. Do not pass through the water that is 2.5 inches above the top of the rail. Passing over the railroad crosses. Do not pass over the railroad crosses at full power. Traction motor flash over may result reducing the power. Moving the throttle handle to the 5th notch below while as the units are passing over the control. Stopping engines, moving the throttle, stopping the engines. Move the throttle to idle, open the generator field circuit breaker to the control stand, engine control switch. Move the engine control switch, push the stop button on the engine control panel. You shut down all engines in multiple unit operation. Move the throttle to the shutdown position of the master controls. This throttle engine must be idle before the start of the engine. Before leaving a locomotive, apply the handbrake, release the air brake after uncoupling the train. The third axle floating the baluster trucks with the low-hanging brake cylinder or quick with the release valve provided that which removes the rise of the brake cylinder, which is the handbrake system. The handbrake chain system must strip the setup of the QVR valve trapped and the permitted in this brake cylinder. Otherwise, the locomotive air pressure tends to leaks off. The locomotive can roll down from the track unintended. 2. Before leaving the locomotive, the second thing you do is leave the throttle and idle selector off. Remove the selector handle to the moving off. Open all the switches and circuit breakers. Close the windows and doors. Open the battery switch. If in the freezing weather, precautions must be taken to see that the cooling water does not freeze. Draining cooling system. The following railroad rules for the situation. Safety control. Safety control, if installed, consists of a foot pedal operated air valve with a whistle cutout cock except for the locomotive to stop. Locomotive brakes are applied. Engine must be kept at the safety control foot pedal depressed at all times to prevent safety control brake application. After a penalty brake application have occurred, normal locomotive operation restored in the following manner. Move the throttle to idle and move the automatic brake valve handle to suppression. Depress the safety control foot pedal after the application pipe built at the normal pressure. Move the automatic brake valve handle to release. Otherwise, form safety control may be provided. See the railroad rules for specific procedures. Dynamic braking is applied for the locomotive only. Dynamic braking keeps the air brake of the locomotive for the being applied to the automatic air braking. Dynamic air brake being used in the MU braking selector switch must be positioned according to the railroad rules applying dynamic braking. Applying dynamic braking is used in the following manner: moving the throttle to idle. The KC 108 control the dynamic braking handle is set up position. Move the handle to the braking sector as required. The optional control move the selector handle to from the monitoring braking advanced throttle handle the slow bunch train slacking brake is not controlled with the throttle handle after slack is bunch advance the throttle head and handle the desired braking effort is option. Observe the braking effort during the initial period of the dynamic braking application. Caution: prolong the operation of the dynamic braking in the eighth notch of the speed above the 61 miles per hour can cause increased maintenance of the traction motors. The amount of braking effort obtained with the varies in position of the throttle. The dynamic braking handle varies in speed. Maximum braking effort is obtained by the eighth notch at the speed of 22 to 30 miles an hour, depending on locomotive gearing. The locomotive is equipped with various ranges of dynamic series of oil peak braking efforts with it occur down to about 8 miles per hour. Wheel slipping warning may occur while in the dynamic braking indicates that the wheels are sliding and is applied automatically to the wheels of the sliding unit, reducing the throttle position until the warning stops. Use of dynamic brakes. When necessary, the automatic air brakes may be used in conjunction with dynamic brakes. The automatic air brakes will apply to the train, but not the locomotive. If the air brakes handle and move to the emergency position, dynamic brake is removed for the position braking in the locomotive as well as the train to go to the emergency application. The independent air brake must not be used during the dynamic braking of the void flat spots of the locomotive wheels caused by the sliding. Releasing of the dynamic braking. Release of the dynamic braking following the manner of the KC 108 control. Move the dynamic braking handle into the off position. Operational control. Move the throttle handle to idle. Vacating the unit electrical step up. On the selector handle to off and remove the handle. Operate the generator field circuit breaker on the control stand. Leave all the brakes in closed position in the engine control, except for this control circuit breaker and the engine run switch. If used, the running lights or circuit breaker may be positioned as desired. Fourth, the multiple unit headlight setup switch is switched to be required position. Operating unit air equipment setup. Insert the automatic brake valve handle to the handle off. Use the minimum. Move the independent brake valve handle into the full application. To press the handle of the multiple unit 2A valve, moving it into the lead or dead position. To press the handle of the brake valve, pilot cut off of the cock moves in the or freight or passenger position and is designated in service in which the locomotive is operated. The operating unit electrical setup. Insert the selector handle in the control stand. Close the generator field circuit breaker on this control stand. 3. Close all circuit breakers engine control panel. The control circuit breaker must be used in the lead unit only. The MU headlight setup switch is required at the position. To operate with other types of units, the unit's locomotive consistently geared for the differing maximum speed. Do not run in excess of the recommendation of having lowest maximum permissible speed. To operate within other units, similarly, do not operate low speeds long enough to exceed the speed traction rating on any of the other units the locomotive consists of. The locomotive with high horsepower per axle will develop more tractive effort as any given unit or any given speed than will all the units of lower pressure horsepower axles. On the General Electric units, the equipped with the automatic power matching control power is automatically reduced to lower level under certain conditions when operating low locomotive speeds. Special operating instructions will be required for this feature. When the leading unit is slipping excessively, power limiter can be moved 97. Reduce the power until the unit is trailing on the operation of the full power. That will reduce the tractive effort on the leading and usually improve the ability of the locomotive to hold the railroad under the bad rail conditions. When they equip the braking current limiting regulators can be operated with the General Electric locomotives and dynamic braking regardless of the gear ratio difference of maximum braking current ratings, and if some have current limits of regularities and locomotive system must be must always be operated so that not to exceed the braking current of the unit having the lowest maximum braking current rating. Special occurrence instructions will be required for this case. When locomotive and 26 locomotive equipment is operated, the multiple lead or trailing the 24 RL equipment with units equipped with the braking of number 6 type, following the conditions of the maid. The brake pipe goes in the 2626L, the brake pipe to the brake pipe, 26L to 24R to order number 6. The MR equalizer pipe goes to 24RL or with number 6. Actuating pipe to 26L and only 24RL. The 26L BC equalizing pipe and independent application release pipe to 24RL and order the number 6 BC equalizing pipe 26 24 and order number 6 sand pipe to sand pipe 26 and 24 are equipped the units to be operated together in any combination. 26 and number 6 equipped in locomotive unit and operated together in any combination. The 26L equipped with locomotive leading of one or more of the 24RL is equipped locomotive units, and number 6 equipped with or without actuating pipe and trailer. Only if the actuating pipe can be unit and the number 6 equipped with the operated between the leading 26L equipped with the other training 24RL and 26L equipped unit. Brake pipe leakage. The brake pipe leakage test is performed in the following manner when the brake pipe is fully charged with the brake pilot cutout cock in position of the automatic brake valve handle properly in the service of the position of equalizing reserve pressure. The hand reduces to 15% of the stop and leave the handle in the position as soon as the brake pipe pressure has reduced the level of the equalizing reserve pressure and the continuous blow of the braking valve. Press the brake valve pilot cutout handle, move it into the out position, immediately observe the brake pipe gauge time and pressure drop in accordance with railroad rules. In a completion of the braking pipe leakage test, move the brake valve to further toward the service position and reduce the equalizing reserve pressure slightly to below the brake pressure. The brake may later release to the return of the brake valve handle the release position. The heading dead end train. Position independent brake valve hand in the release position, automatic brake valve handling in the handling off position. To press the brake valve pilot cutout handle, move the off position. To press the handle of the multiple unit 2A valve, lead your dead position. All units in the equipped with the optional double ported cutout cock. Place a cock in the open in or open positions. Open the dead engine cock. Draining cooling water for the further weather freezing the cooling water system. Obtaining for weather above freezing, the cooling water system may be drained, opening the 2 main water drain valves on the right side of the locomotive near base of the lube oil cooler. For freezing weather, in addition, without opening 2 main drain valves, remove the plug at the base of the water pump to be sure the cab heater valves are open. One of the valves located in the operator cab flow is on the most locomotive and must be reached of the noise cab. This is cooling water system drains. Here is the 4-axle unit apparatus locomotive of a 12-cylinder engine. You have your multiple unit connectors. You have your sandbox. You have your toilet, headlight, operating controls, cab heater, water cooler, engine controller, equipment, blower, handbrake, auxiliary generator, exciter, traction generator, governor, full oil transfer pump, trainer, diesel engine. Internal cooler, turbocharged cooling, water storage tank, lubricating, oil cooler, lubricating, oil filter, engine or air filters, internal engine cleaners, panels, papers, air compressors, dynamic braking grids, radiator fan. 28 is radiator air reserve fuel tank, auxiliary alternator, battery, right side, air brake equipment, right side, control equipment, compartment, left side. Um, this is a axle unit application. Same thing. 6 axles, 060 or 0660 app model. And this has been the operating manual for a diesel locomotive, the GEJ 3856B. Notion of it's a model. It's a U23C. I don't know. I didn't get the model, so leave it there.